Life is short, yet many people live as if it will last forever. They follow routines, chase comfort, and forget their true dreams. Today, you will listen to a powerful story. It is not only a lesson to learn English through story, but also a reminder: don't waste your life. Daniel was 28 years old, and to most people around him, he seemed to live a normal and stable life. He worked in a small office in the center of the city, spending his days in front of a computer, answering emails, writing reports, and attending endless meetings. Every morning, his alarm clock rang at exactly 7 a.m. He would get up, eat a quick breakfast, rush to work, sit at his desk for 8 hours, and return home in the evening. Once home, he usually turned on the television, watched a few shows, scrolled through his phone, and then went to bed. The same cycle repeated the next day, and the day after that. To his colleagues, Daniel was reliable and responsible. To his parents, he was safe and practical. But deep inside, Daniel felt something was missing. Life seemed predictable, like a book where every page was the same as the one before. He often asked himself, is this all there is? Is this really the life I want to live for the next 40 years? Since childhood, Daniel had carried a dream in his heart. He loved photography. As a teenager, he borrowed his father's old camera and spent hours capturing images of sunsets, people on the streets, and little details others did not notice. More than anything, he wanted to travel the world and tell stories through his photos. But as he grew older, the dream faded into the background. People told him it was too risky, that it was not a real career. They advised him to find a stable job, and he listened. Years passed, and the dream never disappeared. It lived quietly inside him, like a small flame that refused to go out. Sometimes, when Daniel walked home from work and saw the golden light of evening falling across the city, he wished he had his camera with him. Sometimes, when he scrolled through pictures of other travelers online, he felt a sharp pain of envy. But he always told himself the same thing: maybe one day, maybe later. Now is not the right time. Daniel's life was comfortable, but it was not fulfilling. And while comfort is easy to accept, it can also be dangerous. Without realizing it, he was slowly wasting the most precious gift of all: time. One ordinary Tuesday afternoon, while Daniel was sitting at his desk sorting through spreadsheets, his phone buzzed. At first, he thought it was another work notification. But when he opened the message, his hands froze. It was a text from an old university friend. Have you heard the news? Mark passed away last night. Car accident. Mark had been one of Daniel's closest friends in college. They had shared dorm rooms, late-night talks, and countless dreams about the future. Daniel remembered how Mark used to say he wanted to open a small cafe by the beach. He was only 29, just 1 year older than Daniel. And now, suddenly, he was gone. The news hit Daniel like a heavy stone in his chest. The office noise around him, the typing, the ringing phones, the hum of the air conditioner, faded into silence. All he could hear was his own heartbeat and a question forming in his mind. If tomorrow were my last day, would I be proud of the life I am living? That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying memories of his own routine life. Day after day, year after year, he had postponed his dreams. He had told himself he would travel later, pursue photography later, live with passion later. But what if later never came? As the hours passed, Daniel began to reflect on the past decade. He thought about the endless hours wasted scrolling through social media, comparing himself to others instead of building something of his own. He remembered the invitations he had declined, the opportunities he had ignored, and the photographs he had never taken. All those tomorrows he had been saving were gone, replaced by yesterdays filled with hesitation. For the first time, Daniel saw his life clearly. It wasn't that he had chosen the wrong path. It was that he had never chosen at all. He had simply followed the easiest road, the one that asked the least of him but also gave the least in return. Mark's death became a mirror, forcing Daniel to face his own mortality. He realized that life is fragile, unpredictable, and far shorter than it seems. None of us are promised a long future. Each day that slips by unused is a day that will never come back. As dawn broke outside his window, Daniel whispered to himself, "I don't want to waste my life anymore." It was a painful realization, but it was also the beginning of change. The morning after his long night of reflection, Daniel sat at his kitchen table with a notebook and a pen. He had never been someone who kept journals or wrote down his feelings, but this time felt different. His friend's sudden death had shaken him deeply, and he didn't want the feeling to fade away without leading to change. He opened the notebook and wrote at the top of the page, "What I want to do with my life." He began to list the things that had always lived in his heart but had been buried under routine. Travel the world, capture stories with his camera, learn a new language, and contribute to others through volunteering. As he wrote, he felt a mix of excitement and fear. The excitement came from imagining the life he truly wanted. The fear came from the voice in his head that whispered, "You can't. It's too late. It's too risky." But Daniel remembered his sleepless night and the thought that haunted him. What if tomorrow never comes? With that in mind, he made a promise to himself. Start small, but start now. That very evening, instead of going straight home after work to watch television, Daniel took his old camera and walked through the streets of the city. At first, he felt awkward. People hurried past him, cars rushed by, and he wondered if anyone was judging him. But as he lifted his camera and captured the golden light falling on an old brick wall, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: joy. That single photo was not extraordinary, but it was alive. It was real. From then on, Daniel dedicated 1 hour each day to photography. Sometimes he woke up early to catch the sunrise. Other times, he stayed out late to capture the glowing city at night. Each photograph became a reminder that he was no longer just existing. He was living. The change didn't happen overnight. Old habits tugged at him. There were days when he wanted to fall back into comfort, to sit on the couch and let hours disappear in front of a screen. But each time he asked himself, "Is this how I want to spend my life?" Slowly, the answer guided him toward better choices. Daniel also began to say no more often. He said no to invitations that added no value, to tasks at work that weren't his responsibility, and to distractions that drained his energy. With every no, he created space for a greater yes. He was learning the art of focusing on what mattered most. For the first time, Daniel felt the flame of his dream growing stronger. He realized that meaningful change doesn't come from giant leaps, but from small steps taken consistently. Every click of his camera was a declaration: "I am alive, and I will not waste my life." As Daniel continued his new journey, he not only collected photographs, but also collected insights about life. These insights became guiding principles that shaped his choices and strengthened his resolve. The first lesson came to him during a quiet evening walk. Time is the most valuable currency. In the past, Daniel often told himself, "I don't have enough money to travel," or "I need more savings before I can follow my dreams." But after losing his friend, he realized that money, while important, could always be earned again. Time, however, was different. Once a day passed, it could never return. No amount of money could buy back yesterday. He began to look at his hours as treasures. Every decision, whether to spend an hour scrolling online or to spend an hour learning something new, was an investment. The way he used his time was shaping his entire life. The second lesson Daniel discovered was that fear is the greatest thief. For years, fear had convinced him to stay safe, to avoid risks, to remain in a routine that felt secure but empty. He thought fear was protecting him, but in reality, it was stealing his dreams. It had stolen opportunities to travel, to meet new people, to express himself. One evening, as he looked through his growing collection of photos, Daniel thought, "Fear has taken enough from me. I will not let it take more." Recognizing fear as a thief gave him the strength to act despite feeling afraid. The third lesson was simple yet powerful. Small steps create big changes. At first, Daniel imagined he needed to quit his job immediately, buy expensive equipment, and travel the world to call himself a photographer. But the truth was, real change had started with one small habit: spending just 1 hour a day with his camera. That single step opened a door. Day after day, those small actions built momentum. They gave him confidence and slowly reshaped his identity. He realized that anyone could change their life, not by waiting for the perfect moment, but by beginning with small steps today. Finally, Daniel discovered the fourth lesson: gratitude transforms perspective. As he practiced photography, he began to notice little details he had once ignored. The morning light shining through a window, the laughter of children on the street, the quiet beauty of rain falling on glass. Each photo became a reminder to appreciate what was already around him. Gratitude didn't mean he stopped chasing his dreams. Instead, it gave him the strength to enjoy the journey. It shifted his focus from what he lacked to what he already had. These 4 lessons, valuing time, overcoming fear, starting small, and practicing gratitude, became Daniel's compass. They turned his days from repetition into meaning, and his dreams from distant wishes into daily actions. Through them, he understood that the true danger in life was not failure, but wasting the precious gift of living. Daniel's story is personal, but it speaks to something universal. Most people, if they are honest, carry within them a dream that has been ignored or delayed. It might be the dream of writing a book, starting a business, learning a new language, traveling the world, or simply living with more courage. Yet many of these dreams are pushed aside by fear, by daily obligations, or by the mistaken belief that there will always be more time. But what if time is shorter than we think? Imagine yourself at the age of 80, sitting in a quiet room, looking back on your life. What would you remember with pride, and what would you regret? Studies show that people rarely regret the things they tried and failed. Instead, they regret the chances they never took, the words they never said, and the dreams they never dared to follow. Psychologists call this the regret of omission. It is the pain of wondering what might have been. And the truth is, almost everyone faces this risk unless they make a conscious choice today. Daniel's wake-up call came suddenly through tragedy, but you do not need to wait for loss to remind you of life's urgency. You can choose now, at this moment, to re-examine your path. Science also supports this idea. Research consistently shows that people who live with clear goals and a strong sense of purpose enjoy better health and greater happiness. A well-known study from Harvard, one of the longest studies ever conducted, followed participants for more than 75 years. The researchers wanted to know what truly makes people thrive. The result was surprising to some. It was not wealth, status, or even career achievements that mattered most. The strongest predictor of happiness and health was the quality of relationships, our ability to connect meaningfully with others and to live with purpose. Purpose gives direction. It helps us get out of bed in the morning with energy. It reminds us that our daily efforts matter. And when combined with gratitude, it transforms even small actions into moments of joy. People with purpose are not free from difficulties, but they carry resilience. They see challenges not as dead ends, but as steps on a larger journey. This brings us back to the question, how are you spending your days? Every day is a page in your life story. Will it be filled with routines you did not choose, or with experiences that reflect your deepest values? Remember, the greatest danger is not making mistakes. The greatest danger is living without direction, drifting through time, and discovering too late that you have wasted the one life you were given. The story of Daniel is a mirror. Through it, you can see your own reflection. His courage to start small, to face fear, and to choose gratitude is also available to you. The invitation is simple but powerful. Don't waste your life. Begin today. Life is not as long as we imagine. Each of us receives only a limited number of days, and none of us knows how many remain. That truth can feel frightening, but it can also be liberating. It reminds us that today, not tomorrow, is the only time we truly hold in our hands. Daniel's journey showed us that change does not require something dramatic. It begins with small, intentional actions. For him, it was 1 hour a day with camera. For you, it might be something different. Reading the first page of a book you have always wanted to write, signing up for a course, calling someone you miss, or taking the first step toward a dream you have been hiding in your heart. Here is a simple challenge. Take one sheet of paper and write down one thing you want to do before this week ends. Just one. Do not overthink it. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Begin now, because tomorrow is never promised. The only guarantee you have is today. Do not let fear whisper excuses. Do not let routine steal your passion. Your life is too valuable to waste on hesitation. Each small action you take will create momentum, and each day of courage will build a life of meaning. So as we close this story, carry these words with you. Don't waste your life. Live it. Learn from it. and make it meaningful. The choice is yours. Begin today.